we're going to go ahead and get started. So we're going to turn the time over to our very favorite Alix Moore. She is from the South Ogden office, KW Success. She's a total rock star, and she's going to take us through opportunities today. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the time over to Alix. And remember, if you do have any questions or things don't make sense, drop those questions in the chat box. Make sure you're on all panelists and attendees. We're going to be here to answer those questions and help you through it. We're recording, we're rocking. Let's go. Alix, it's all you.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Josh. Okay, so I'm going to get started. Oh, somebody's screen sharing.
Try that again, Alix. That was me.
There we go. Got it. Okay. All right. Can everyone see this? So I am going, you'll see I'm using our team leader's Rusty's command login today. I am not an agent, so I don't have access to a lot of what's necessary for opportunities. So first I'm gonna go through and show you some kind of organizational things within opportunities. I think a lot of agents don't know that this even exists, which is really nice. So right now I am in Rusty's opportunities. You'll see she has some in her pipeline right now. Let's go into, we'll just drop into active really fast. So you'll see in your opportunities, you have your phases and stages. These up here are your, these are your, phases, and then the other part is your stages. So let's go through, so cultivate. This is definitely the beginning of a relationship with the client. I know a lot of you watch, nurture, and hot. So watch is kind of a good spot to start out. They're probably maybe 12 months out from signing a contract with you. Nurture maybe somewhere around the 3 to 11 month mark. And over here, you're looking less than 90 days of them starting to be, become active, start working a lot more with you. And your appointment, you'll see this one's pretty self-explanatory. You're scheduling your appointment, you have the appointment scheduled, and that appointment has now been kept. You actually met with them, hopefully got your contract signed with them, so they are now your client. And then we'll jump into active. So staging, you'll see I'm in Rusty's listings right now. So staging, you're getting the home ready for showings. And then you're now showing the home, and maybe you're now in negotiations with either some buyers, or you're working on pricing for the home. And then, of course, under contract. So you are in escrow, you have an accepted offer, inspections, you're working on your home inspections, and then your appraisal. So that, you guys are awesome at knowing the steps. Again, I'm not an agent. And then you have your closed folder. So these are a couple listings Rusty has closed. And then your legacy, anytime you move something over from .loop, this will be, this is where those will show up, or maybe something from the past that you've now moved over. That's where you'll want to keep those as in legacy. So let's talk about editing your stages. So I'm going to come up here and just click edit stages. So you'll see I have, there's just the templated stages in there in the appointments tab. So scheduled and kept. You can actually come in here and add a stage if you want to. Let's say there's something you do specifically in your business that, it's just missing from here. Let's add a stage right here. We'll say, we'll just say confirm appointment. And we'll change our probability to 100%. And then you can also add a checklist item, which I'll show you over here, and I'm going to hit save on that. And your everything in Command is super easy, drag and drop. One of the most user-friendly programs I've ever used. So we scheduled the appointment. You're now going to confirm that appointment after you've scheduled maybe a day or two before the appointment, and then now you have your kept appointment. So let's go over to your confirmed appointment. So I'm going to create a checklist in here, meaning let's say there's a few items I know I need to take to this appointment that I want to prepare for. So I'm going to say, I'm going to remember my exclusive right to sell and hit save. And maybe I need a listing input form. So I'm going to hit save on that. And then now I know I have 2 items I need to prepare for this appointment. So once you've moved your opportunity into the confirm appointment, you can go in here. I have this. Oops. Oop. There we go. Okay. And now I'm going to go back to here. So now that I have that in there, I'm going to go through and I'm going to create an opportunity now. There's a couple different ways you can create an opportunity. Anytime there's something new you're going to create, you're going to go up to either create opportunity, or you can even create an opportunity directly from your contacts, which I'll do it that way. And oops. We used to have a Minnie Mouse in here. I think Rusty might have removed her. I'm just going to add a contact really quick in here. Oh no. Sorry guys, thought this was already in here. Maybe I'm in here. There we go. Okay, so I am in Rusty's SOI now. So we're gonna come over to opportunities and go create opportunity. Anytime there's a function, it'll be in blue like that. And here I am. Rusty is not on a team, but if you were on a team, you would see the option to toggle in between your team. So if it's something you're just working on as the rainmaker, you'll want to leave it as yourself unless you plan on assigning this to somebody else. If you are on a team but not on the you're not the rainmaker, you'll just want to make sure you select your team on that function. So I'm creating this as a listing. You want to make super sure that when you're creating your opportunity, you're making sure you have your listing or your buyer or your landlord or tenant. I know these are obviously the most 2 common ones. There's not a function right now to where if you accidentally created it as a buyer and it should have been a listing, there's not currently a function where you can just like switch that within the opportunity. You'll have to archive the opportunity and then create a new one. So just make sure that you're creating everything correct from the very first step. And your opportunity name is always going to pop up as your client name and either listing or buyer, depending on what side you have. A lot of our agents tend to just leave it as that, which is totally fine. You can even change it to the address. And then there's custom tags in here as well. So you'll see Rusty has some in here. Let's say I'm searching in Layton. So I'm just going to leave that in my custom tag. And my estimated close date we'll say is August 7th. Your estimated listing price will go with a baseline of like $325, and your commission rate. In opportunities, if it's a listing site, I know generally it's 6%, leave it as the 3% in there if that's the commission you're charging. And then we can go to our phase and stage. Let's say, we'll just say I'm inactive right now and I'm working on some showings. So I'm going to create that opportunity. So here's my opportunity. It's already in there and you can just go ahead and go directly into there. All right, so here is my details page of my opportunity. The more information you have in here, the easier it's going to be for you to track this, especially when you're expecting your check to come in soon. It makes it a lot easier for your leadership to go through and find the opportunity. So we're going to go in here and select, and this all does reflect on your reports within Command 2, so that's another really good reason to have your information here. So let's say I had an appointment with Russie on July 1st, or we scheduled on July 1st and we had our appointment on the 3rd. And I signed an exclusive right to sell with her on, we'll just say I signed it on the same day we had our date. And then your contract date and your close date. Your contract date is going to be the date that you went under contract, not the date that you actually signed either your buyer, broker, or exclusive right to sell. That is this date, the agreement one. So let's say I don't have anything under contract yet, and then here's your breakdown. And then you can also still move through your phases and stages within the details page, so you don't have to go back and drag it through if you forgot to move it to the next stage. You can do that directly in here. And I'm gonna hit save on that. Perfect. So you'll see we have a few other tabs up here. Your seller profile, this will say, this will tell you if they are in your app. So this will tell you if they've downloaded your app or not, and that would be a good touch for your client to reach out to them, tell them to get involved with your app, link the app to them, send them your code. That way you can see if they're looking at other homes, favoriting their homes. You'll be able to go into their timeline and contacts and check that out. Oops. Sorry, don't know what just happened. Oops. We've ran into some technical difficulties. Okay, there we go. Okay, so now I am in my documents tab. I've seen a lot of times people aren't really sure what that these are actually folders for you. So they tend to just create a new folder and upload all their documents into one spot. So this is your checklist, and your checklist might look different if you're in another brokerage. I know they kind of range from market center to market center. But this is what ours look like. We have if the document is required or conditionally required, meaning you may or may not need it. So let's go up here. So here's my listed folder. So this is going to be the beginning stages of the listing, like no real estate purchase contract or anything like that. That's going to be in your under contract folder. So you have a way of knowing exactly what you should have in the transaction. You'll always get a notification if you're missing anything down to like an initial, and you'll see that little red dot up here if you are missing anything. Also your Kelly notifications. If you have your Kelly notification app, which you definitely should if you are using opportunities, that will give you your notifications anytime you get a message through commands for compliance. So make sure you have those notifications on. That will be your quickest way to know if you're missing something in your opportunity. So I'm going to come up to start a transaction, and this is going to link it to the DocuSign room. Maybe. There we go. And go to transaction. Okay, perfect. So now we have our DocuSign room ready to go. So I always start in the details page no matter what. You'll see your contact information will always flow over from command into here, so you don't have to go in and edit. I know in the beginning stages of command, you were still having to do that. Luckily, that is all there now. And also, oh, I failed to do this on this part. Your address down here, if you have your address listed in your property over here, which we'll just go in and enter a random address right now. You don't have to overcomplicate it. Let command pull the address in for you and just hit save on that. So now if I would have done this in the first place, this address would now be over here, which would now flow over onto my documents that I'm going to use in the DocuSign library. Let me just add this in really fast. And hit save. Make sure you hit save. I've seen agents take a lot of time to fill these boxes out and not hit save. Make sure you hit save down in that bottom right corner. And then now I'm ready to come back up into my documents. So let's go into add some documents. So I'm going to go into add and DocuSign forms. So you'll have this box pop up. I'm going to go into the library and go for my UAR forms. I'm going to search for my exclusive right to sell. And you can select more than one document in here if you're needing to send more than one thing at a time. Don't think you have to add one document at a time in here. And I'm just going to use a Rep C for fun. That's usually a good document to start out with, even though this is a listing opportunity. And I'm going to add those two documents. So I have my forms in here. You'll see if you use the DocuSign form library, you'll have this little icon down here that says form. If you've uploaded a PDF, that will just have a red PDF symbol down here instead. So I'm going to open up my exclusive right to sell just by clicking on the form. And everything I've entered into that details page is going to be on this form. Of course, I didn't go through and enter every single box, but anything you type in there, that should come over onto these forms. You'll see I have my address, Rusty's name is up there, your brokerage should be up there. Just scroll through, make sure everything's in there. If it's not, you can just type in this box, whatever it may be, whatever document you're on, and I'm going to hit save and close. And then I am ready to send this document. So I'm going to select this little bubble over here and just simply hover over the document, and you'll now have these options that have popped up. So I'm going to hit DocuSign, and that's going to take that to the next step to prepare it for signatures. And this envelope name, this is a big thing. I always suggest entering exactly what you're sending to your client. So if you're sending your exclusive right to sell, a listing input form, you'll want to put that in your envelope name. That way you know exactly what you sent in that specific envelope, so you're not having to go through and click on all these envelopes that say please DocuSign. And then add recipient. If you're using the DocuSign library, you'll have 3 options here. If you're using the DocuSign library, you want to use pre-tagged roles. That's going to save you a lot of time when it comes to adding initial fields and signature fields. So I am seller 1. Perfect. And then of course, if you had more than one person on here, you would just add them as well, pre-tagged roles. And you can also set your signing order as well. So meaning you can do, we'll add another person, we'll add Russie onto here. So now I have my listing agent on here as well. So you'll see we both have a 1 next to our name. This means we're going to get this at the same exact time, and whoever gets to it first will sign first. But let's say Russie doesn't want to sign until I've signed. I'm going to change her to 2. So now once I've signed, then she is going to get an email notification that this document is now ready for her to sign. And then down here, if you want to include a little message with everything, if there's maybe something specific they need to know, you can include that in this email message down here, and that'll just come with the DocuSign link. And I'm going to hit next. Perfect. So all of my information is on here. You'll see I have my seller's initials. Everything is tagged for me because I use that DocuSign library. If you're using a PDF, you will manually have to go in here and add on each of these initials. So definitely use the DocuSign library. It'll save you a lot of time and probably a lot of frustration. Okay, everything is now in there. So I'm just going to hit send on that, and then I'm going to sign this really fast. Okay, perfect. I have now finished signing that. So Russie just got an email that says I've now signed that document. I'm just going to refresh this. So it still says waiting for others because Russie is on there, but I know I've signed it. So once that comes back, you'd see another folder over here that says signed. And so now you have your signed contract. I'm going to come back into KW Command. We do not go into DocuSign to review, at least our market center doesn't. Everything we review will be in Command. So I know I have my exclusive right to sell updated. I'm so sorry if you can hear the jets. I'm very close to Hill Air Force Base. So you'll see every document that you've uploaded into your DocuSign room. If this was my signed copy, this would say signed right next to that, so you know exactly which one you're wanting to upload. So I'm just going to select this and assign. So I have my document uploaded. You now have your submit to MC button that is lit up for you to submit to your market center. You can also attach multiple files at once. So if you sent a bunch of documents at one time and they signed everything, you can come in here and actually browse your files directly from here. Oops, I did the wrong thing. Oops. So I'm going to come up to DocuSign, and this is going to have my drop-down box for all of my DocuSign forms. So here's my signatures. You'll see Rusty has now signed that, so it does say signed now. So let's say I need to go over here and upload my Rep C. And there's my real estate purchase contract as well. So super easy if you need to upload multiple documents at one time. And then I've submitted to my market center for review. Now I'm going to come up to offers. And this part is very helpful, especially if you have a listing with multiple offers. You'll want to add those in there just so you know where you're at. It will always pop up with an initial offer. You can rename this to whatever you'd like. If you had a client last name, we'll just say Edwards offer and create. Okay, my offer date we'll say was July 20th, and we're scheduled to close on August 31st. And I'm going to go to my parties. So my buyer name, I'm going to do good old Mickey Mouse. And then the agent who had the buy side of this, maybe you had both sides, that is awesome. For this one, I'm gonna use our broker. And then enter in their information, that way you have it. If you need to reach out to that agent for something, that's gonna make your life a lot easier. I know you don't always get their contact information. And then your terms. We'll say these clients put 20,000 down and they sign. Now they've financed 305. I think that's what I did. And their earnest money was $3,000. All right, and then you have your termination option and your seller costs. This isn't going to affect anything with your commission, but definitely if you have this information, you want to enter that. I'm just going to skip this for just for training. And then your agent analysis. Please, please, please help us fill this out. This is a great way of your team leader knowing if the agent you worked with on the opposite side, if they're not already a KW agent, you can go through this. This is a good judgment for them to know if it's an agent they want to reach out to see if they'd be a fit for KW. We don't want to recruit just anyone. We want to recruit agents who are amazing KW agents like you. So definitely enter this information in there and hit save. So you'll see I can either accept or reject this offer. I'm going to hit accept for this one. We'll say it's the first offer I received, and it was a great offer. I've hit accept, and now this commissions box is lit up for me to click on. If you don't accept the offer, you won't be able to click on this, and this is what's going to tell us how we need to pay you. So I'm going to come into edit general information. It looks like my contract date. I don't remember what date I did, so I'm going to hit save. And now that's in there. So you'll see because I've entered in my address in my details page of the opportunity, this address is now already up here. So if you didn't have that, you would probably get an error message down here that says you're missing a listing. So that's this address up here is what that's looking for. We ran into a few times where it's not on the MLS. Entering it in that details box is going to bypass that box for you, so you don't have to sit there and try to enter the address in 1,000 times and it's not coming up on the KWLS. That's how you're going to bypass that. So let's see, I have Rusty's commission down here, and I'm going to add a co-broker payment. Oh, not a co-broker payment, sorry. You can add another agent if you're splitting with an agent in your office. This is where you'll want to come for that, is add another agent. But let's say she has an outside referral. I'm going to come in here and scroll down and hit add item. And you can add a bonus. Let's say you have a transaction fee. We see that all the time. You'll want to add that in there. Any concessions, deduction. But I'm going to go with an outside referral. We'll say this was $2,000. And then your tax ID type. Remember, we do require a W-9 for outside referrals for the outside brokerage and their tax ID. If you try to just enter like a 1111 or anything like that in here, it will recognize that is not a valid EIN number. So make sure you're getting that information from your referral partner and enter in their address and their phone number. That way we know who to send that check out to. It helps your leadership and your MCA a lot with that correct information in there. So I'm going to hit save changes. So I'm getting no error messages. Rusty's commission looks great. I'm going to hit submit on that. Make sure you're hitting submit. This button is missed very often, so make sure you're hitting that blue submit button so it comes through to your market center for us to review your commission in there. So let me go back to our opportunities really fast. Now, dragging and dropping your opportunities. So let's say I'm obviously under contract. I've received an offer. I'm going to take this up here and move it over to under contract. You'll see it won't let me drag it because that box is not lit up. If I just adjust it a little bit, now that box is blue for me to drag and drop it in there. So I am in escrow now. So as you move through your transaction, make sure you're moving these throughout the boxes. So I'm in inspections now. That way, you know, and these will be where your checklist items are. So you'll see she has a checklist in here. Inspection complete, repair request if needed, a seller's disclosures return. So she has items that she knows she's going to need to do for this transaction specifically. And yep, it looks like, oh, this is your listing. This is the checklist I created. So contract and pre-qual sent. So you see she already has her checklist items in there. And then I think that's it. Jordan, am I missing anything?
No, you did a great job, covered most of opportunities. Just kind of the only other piece I would touch on is the guides. And guides is just where that's the opportunity is you're going through the opportunities. You can connect them in the consumer app to really help them stay in touch and follow through with the opportunity process. Do we have any specific questions around opportunities? Is there anything you would touch on, Josh, Kimber? Alex is already on, so any additional insights or
yeah,
things to touch on?
I've got something. Let's talk for just a second about like the overarching purpose of opportunities. So you got to remember that when you are using opportunities, best practice is that when you're calling your SOI 4 times a quarter, 4 times a year, so every quarter, anytime someone says, I'm interested to buy or sell a house, you are creating an opportunity for them. Opportunities are not for those people that are already interested or that you already have under contract or something like that. Like this, we're looking at your pipeline. So Alex, will you do me a favor and go back to Cultivate? In fact, actually go back to the overview of opportunities. Just click on the handshake again.
All right.
Perfect. So best practice for opportunities is that when you're looking at your pipeline from this distance, Cultivate should be your biggest number.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? Because all of your pipeline is going from Cultivate into the rest of the other phases of your opportunity.
Correct. It's a sales funnel, right? So the more, if you've read the MREA, that sales funnel fits in there. The more people you dump in the top of that funnel, the more money and opportunities that come out the bottom. So the more people you have in Cultivate, that's your opportunity to funnel those through your pipeline, eventually ending up with more closed business. For me as a sales agent, I always look at Cultivate like those are my hots, nurtures, and watches, right? Those are the people who, whether they're contacts in my database, they're leads I got from Facebook, they're a referral, anyone, I'm creating them in Cultivate as soon as they've raised their hand and said, hey, we're considering buying, selling, or investing in real estate. Those become my Cultivates. That is my lead follow-up. So I'm making my quarterly calls in my contacts database. As soon as someone raises their hand and when Kimber says, hey, Jordan, I want to buy a new house. I have 2 kids now. This one's too small. I don't like the tree trunk in my backyard. That's been a pain in the rear end to get out. Can you tell I follow her on social media? So I want to move to a new house. I'm going to go, awesome. And she's a Cultivate. I'm working on moving those Cultivates through that pipeline, getting an appointment with Kimber and her husband. We're listing their house. We're helping buy a new house. Then she's active on the market as a listing. Then we move her under contract and closed. So a lot of times you may have multiple opportunities for the same people. They're going to be a listing opportunity and a buyer opportunity if they are planning on doing both of those transactions. The beautiful thing with that is you'll see your potential and your probable income, right? So with Russie here, you can see her potential income is $104,000. Her probable income is $81,000. I'm an optimist, so I always hope that if anyone raises their hand and says, hey, we are considering buying, selling, or investing in real estate, they're definitely going to use me and they're definitely going to do it. But the reality of it is that's not always the case. Mm-hmm. Things come up, things happen. We don't always close every transaction that may come our direction. But that's the opportunity to see the difference, right? So if Russie were to close out everything in her listing pipeline, she'd make $104,000. She's likely, based on conversion ratios of how often people move through that pipeline, to close about $81,000 of commission. $81,000 is still a great opportunity there. The other beautiful thing is as you move more people through this pipeline, once you've closed 50 opportunities through the whole pipeline, it's going to start to customize those conversion ratios based on your information instead of just the industry averages. So that's a great opportunity to really get insights into your business at a much deeper level, to really be able to kind of step back and see, what is the health of your business, where there may be gaps in your conversion ratios that you could go hone your skills, double down on training in specific areas in order to really bring up those conversion ratios and also see where you're selling. I know there are agents that I talk to that every listing they take, they sell. I also talk to agents who every listing they take, they don't sell. So there's opportunities to really start coaching and consulting you as we have that data. Does that kind of
Alex?
Yeah.
Sorry, we got the request to show one more time adding documents into DocuSign.
Oh, sure.
Just really quick. And then can we go from DocuSign into the opportunity documents? Let's just do that really quick.
Just directly into DocuSign. Got it.
So into DocuSign and then into command from DocuSign.
Okay. So adding your documents into the room, correct?
Yes.
We got. Okay. So I'm in my DocuSign room. I'm going to hit new. Oh, whoops. Sorry, I'm still in a specific envelope. There we go. I'm in my documents tab. So I'm going to hit add over here and then scroll down to DocuSign forms. And I have my library that pops up. You have your MLS forms, which is all like your listing input permissions form, but I'm going to use just the UAR forms. This is all of your contract documents. We'll upload an addendum.
And so scenario, what if you didn't want to use a form and use a PDF directly? Can you show that really quick?
Yeah, so if you wanted to use a PDF form, let's see, I don't think I have anything real estate related on my computer. So like, this is just a PDF form. This is gonna, you'll get this anytime something is signed. So if you've uploaded a, you know what? I'm gonna hop into the MLS really fast and just get a form for you guys to show that. Okay, so I've downloaded just a PDF. Nice thing about this is that I've downloaded just over here. So I'm going to just drag this up into here, and you can just drag and drop. Of course, you can always come up here and search directly from your computer as well. So I'm going to do the same thing, hover over this. Again, you're not going to have the options to, like you don't have those fillable boxes like you do in the DocuSign Forms library. So just remember that you're not going to be able to directly type on there. So I'm going to hit my little blue check mark up here and then go into DocuSign. Add my recipient. And so now you see that you don't have your pre-tagged roles on there. So I'm just going to come over to my email address. So I have my form in here. This is just my PDF. I'll show you a little bit of a time saver trick. If it'll happen. Sometimes you just have to use a PDF. I'm gonna come over and select, there's a lot of initial fields on here. So I'm gonna hit my initial. And I'm gonna resize that just a little bit so it's not so big. And once you have that on there, I'm gonna come over to location and hit setup. And I can go in here and type it exactly what it looks like on the form. So I need my seller's initials and hit apply. And I'm gonna hit okay. So that is grouped to, and it's added another initial field for me and grouped those together on these forms. So I don't have to go through and add multiple initial fields and resize them at the same time. It keeps everything the same size for me. I would refrain from using words like doing that with words like date, because the word date is going to be somewhere in this form and you're going to end up with a bunch of fields all over your form. So mostly just use it for like signatures and initials. That'll save you a little bit of time if you do have to use a PDF form. Does that help that question?
That's great.
Fantastic. There's lots of deep functionality with DocuSign that's really cool. So keep talking to your Market Center tech trainers. They are constantly learning more information and tips and tricks and secrets around DocuSign. So super exciting.
Yeah, definitely.
Are there any other questions around DocuSign or opportunities we wanted to discuss? drop them in the chat box or speak now.
So they're throwing them in the Q&A. So can you go over customizing steps in the closing process?
Yeah. Let's see. So in your, specifically in your closed folder?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so I'm in my closed folder. I'm gonna come over and hit my edit stages. So I have closed and legacy. Let's say I'm gonna add a stage over here. So whatever step you're gonna take in here, I'm just gonna type example in here. Let's see.
Yeah, so actually the question came back that so for example, if you're closing like a short sale,
Mhm.
how could you change so that you have different stages in there?
Will you jump into an opportunity, Alex?
Yeah. Oops. Let me go back into the one I had created.
So if you just go to documents, so if you see right now she's under residential, if you click on residential right there on the left-hand side, Alex, you can actually your broker can go in and create different required document lists. So for example, in the Orem office where my license is at, we have a list for residential, for commercial transactions, and then for land transactions. That's where you'd be able to create those if you have like specific lists for short sales. You can also create custom folders with those required documents.
Yeah, definitely reach out to your leadership team or your broker if you need something that works for you. We've changed our checklist a few times, so definitely if you're seeing something that you think we should have, reach out to us and we're more than happy to do that.
Awesome. Any other questions? Okay, well, if you do have any other questions, drop them in the chat box. We'll be watching.